Okay, so here's why I like. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to show you ESPN's app really quick, and then we'll jump over to the CBS one. So here's ESPN's app for fantasy baseball. Well, it's actually got basketball and my other leagues that I'm in for other sports. But here's our draft. It gives us our countdown. But really, there's no tabs up top to go off of for any type of tips or, I mean, it's just, you got to know everything and be able to pick your players. The ESPN app doesn't do much as far as like assisting you with if you're new at this and need help, like with rankings and eligibilities, any type of stuff like that. Now you can get player news a little bit here and there if you scroll down and look at these. Like you can get this top 20 sleepers, but I checked on, and these aren't roto specific. It doesn't say anyway. And everything I've seen says ESPN app is geared towards head-to-head point leagues, so this wouldn't be a good one for our roto league for you to follow for information. Now, so like Tommy Edman, I have him, like I said on the video last night. Pick him and see what it says. And really just gives kind of a breakdown of what's going on. But that's as far as it goes. Now let me show you how it works on the fantasy on CBS's app. This is by far the superior. There's not even a product that's close to this, or what their analysts like Scott White, Frank Stanfield, and Chris Towers offers you. So you'll notice you have your team, your standings, all available up top. So we haven't started yet, so we're all same place. And eventually, though, you'll be able to look at your batting standings, your standings in your pitching category, just by scrolling over. It'll give you your total points in each of those categories, like the batting and pitching as a whole, so you'll know each of your two types of player. Tell you how far you are behind, like, I can't remember if that's behind the next position or from how far you are from first place. But anyway, it gives you your differential and your behind points, how much you got to make up. So I like this tool a whole lot. If I go to breakdown, there's your stolen bases. So it'll give you yours and all your people you're going against. Their stolen bases total and this is for the season, not for the week. Each week you want to try to get as many as you can and lead the pack if you can. But you're going to have some weeks where you don't. And some people have, like I might be 7th place in stolen bases all season long. That means I got to really kick it in gear in the other categories. But you can change that to all these different categories. We don't use on-base percentage in our league, but that's a good one to, if the player's getting on base a whole lot, so if they've got a really high OBP, it's definitely a good trait for them to have. But our league uses stolen bases, runs, home runs, RBIs, and batting average. And then saves, strikeouts, ERAs, wins, and whip. Now, the league that I formed for the ESPN app, it has another category under pitching for holds. So let's say your reliever goes out and he may not get a save, but he gets a hold. That'll still give you the same. It's equal to a save, but it's just another category. So that's one more category for you to try to get the lead in. But now let's go back, get off the standings, and go back, and I'll show you your add drops. These are all it tells you period 1 projected, like the computer projects these players to rank out of all the players available, not just available for you, but I mean all of MLB. It says Luis Campusano is going to be ranked 51st overall for Roto, and so forth. Miguel Vargas 60, and that's as long as Bobby Miller 61, or not Bobby. That's Brad Miller. So that's what the computer is suggesting. That's what it's saying. You don't ever want to go off of just the computer, though. You really want to pay attention to your analysts. But that's free agents. You can change that from free agents to all. Now you can look at all players. You can kind of see how this team, Average Joe's, he won it last year. They have this is your teams over here with the ranking of that player. And then you can pick rostered and look at only rostered for period 1 projected. Now we're looking at batters right now. You can change that from batters to pitchers. And there's our pitchers. All. So this app on CBS is extremely useful. Now I don't know if everyone can get access to this app to this level. I do it because I'm in a league already that's a paid league. So I know, I don't know if that's part of our paid membership or if that's part of if everybody downloads the app, if they can see this kind of stuff. Obviously, you won't have like matchup type stuff or your teammates because you're using it as just a tool and not really for a league. But to my knowledge, it's $180 to join a league into the CBS. I'd be more than happy to put our league in it, but everyone would have to kick in their portion. I definitely wouldn't be able to cover that and cover the break that I'm doing as a giveaway as well. So it would definitely need to be where everyone kicked in if they wanted to use CBS. But anyhow, so you can search for a player. Let's say like Dakota Hudson, you see that he's got ranks 5, so you can scroll over to the side. And right now, it's with the first of the season, first week, these rankings aren't really important. They're not accurate at all. They get more accurate the further you go into the season, but in the beginning, they're not. Now, your analyst rankings are. So let's get out of player stats. Go over here. You can look at your rankings. Here's your consensus, which is what the computer believes versus, and it's all averaged like Scott White, Chris Towers, and Frank Stample. It's theirs averaged up, and that's the consensus of all of them averaged together. And I think that takes into effect the computer as well. Not 100% on that. If you're in a head-to-head, see in CBS, you can change it from Roto to head-to-head. And that shows you the difference in rankings from Roto to head-to-head and how the players jump around. So in Roto, top 300 players in order is like this right here. I sent you all these, not everybody, but Marty asked for them, so I sent this all to him in a spreadsheet last night. These ones that's blue are my players. Anything that's not is one of my teammates. And then I'll get further down here and show you that. So like the first available person that's not on a roster, like I said, we're a 13 team and we have an IL spot, so it's kind of a deeper league. So you're going to get pretty far down into that top 300 before. Let's just get to so you can change from that top 300. You can look at catchers, first base, third base, shortstop, outfield, DH, starting pitcher, or reliever. So I'm really needing a reliever bad. So let's look at relievers. Who's our top relievers? Now, the one thing I don't like about this app, and it's probably the only thing, is if someone's a starting pitcher but they're reliever eligible, in my opinion, that should really only come into play for head-to-head. But it counts. They keep it in the mix for the Roto as well, even though it doesn't matter in Roto. So like these are your relievers ranked. I have Seawald, as you can see. That's my best reliever that I have. I wish I would have done better on relievers. I'm going to suffer in that category, at least at first, until one emerges from like a prospect or a call-up or something that I can pick up before someone else. But like Stevenson has a star beside his name. That means he's available. Cano has one. Harvey. And then Abreu. So there's only those guys. That's the only relievers that's in the top 40 of the consensus. Now, if I want to get off of this consensus, all I do is go to that. And it's got those three guys that I keep telling everyone they need to be following and paying attention to their articles. They're all three very, very extremely good fantasy baseball experts. So I highly suggest you guys follow these three people: Scott White, Chris Towers, and Frank Stanfield on whatever socials they're on. But I usually just I just use Twitter. So let's look at Scott. Here's his rankings. This is all Scott's rankings of the relievers. So 34 is the first. 34th rank is the first one, and I've got this Uri, whatever his name is, just because I've read a few articles, and I'm picking up anybody that I can put on my roster and make a spot for them if I can, that I think may possibly get a closer role. So now let's go to like first base. Same thing. We're looking at Scott's. Freddie Freeman's first. These are your first base categories. One of my favorites is Pasquantino, but of course he's not going to have you a ton of steals, nor will Casas, but I've got Casas. And I've got Aranda. And then you see Luke Raley, O'Hearn, Lamont, I think that's Lamont Wade. Yeah. They're available, so I could drop one of my players and pick one of them up if I want. Any of these that's not available, I could do a trade offer if I want. So get out of that one. Now you can go to advice, and here's all your guides, different articles, like where this you can see who it's by, Scott White. So he's got an article here and you want to see how recent it is because they update these constantly each day. And you can see it's like only a 1 minute read. March 15th was the date it was written or last updated. His tiers 3.0 for second base. And it starts telling you how he ranks his tiers. And what that is like you got your top of the pack, kind of your almost top of the pack. Like he calls it the elite, the next best things, first rounders, the fallback options, the last resorts, and then the leftovers. So that's how you can't really, and then if you want to look at one of these players, like let's say I'm considering Jordan Westburg. Click on that, on Jordan Westburg in that article, and boom, there he is. You can see he's second, third, corner, middle, eligible, and roto rank, he's not ranked right now. And that's just going off the computer. But you can see he's 30% rostered, so evidently there's quite a bit of people that do like him. Second base, the computer has him ranked at 28th. And someone had picked him up for $4 and then dropped him evidently. And this right here, that set of binoculars, you can form a scout team. So that's players that you like that you want to keep up with. I hit that binocular, and now I've got him on my scout team. Everybody can put the same players on their scout team if they want. Here's the latest news 4 weeks ago, and then on September 30th, more news. So that's some of the latest news articles on him. You can go to stats, check out his 23 3-year average, game log. I mean, this app is amazing. And next season, I'm highly going to, hopefully I'll get enough folks that like it well enough, that like playing well enough, that we can bump over to CBS because I don't like playing anything but CBS. So you can check out videos, podcasts, So kind of being slow. But here's going to be some of the podcasts. Here's one 13 hours ago for James Wood, Prospect Spotlight, Corey Seager versus Francisco Lindor, and mailbag questions. That's stuff that they do on the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast for CBS. That's Scott, Chris, and Frank. But, I mean, then you can do this and click these three lines up here at the very top next to the league name. Click that. And you go here, and now you got all this stuff. You can look at scores. It's going to give you everybody's overall score, which this isn't accurate because we haven't even started yet. It's just throwing these up there for some reason. This league may not be. It's all adults, and this is the one we do the auction, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's kind of the highlight of my baseball leagues. It's a blast. But you can look at your standings, your research, which research will give you like roster trends. Most added right now. So the most added player that's a free agent is Frankie Montas, Chris Paddock next, and then JP France. If you want to look at most dropped, who's being dropped the most, Lucas Giolito, Woodruff, Urias, obviously Wander Franco, the guy that I'll be doing the boom bucket on. Which, if you haven't heard about that, that's why my league's called the Boom Bucket. Steve, one of the guys that gets into a lot of my breaks, that is part of the Pug Monkey Marketplace on the district, he came up with the name. I was just, we were looking for a name for it because I'm going to be doing a bucket full of Wander Franco cards sitting on top of a probably, 10 pounds or so of tannerite. And we're going to shoot that and explode it and video it, and then share the video, and probably end up seeing how long it takes to get banned and taken down, because had a friend at work shared a picture of a holster, not even a weapon, just a picture of a holster, and was given kind of a review of this holster on Facebook, and he got banned. Like, his whole account got shut down because they said it didn't go along with their policy, which all that was a holster. I mean, I don't see it wasn't anything inappropriate at all. Don't understand that. And you can narrow this down by positions. Like if you're trying to find you an outfielder and you want to see who's the most dropped, because there's a reason that this guy here is the most dropped and so forth. Look at the most added. These are the ones that's most added, which I drafted Warner. I'm liable to pick him up again depending on how it shakes out right before opening day. I'd have to drop somebody, but so if we want to get off of outfield, you just go over here, middle infielder. It's going to take a minute, but you can even look at depth charts, okay? So these are each team's starting players. You want to try to get all starters if you can. You can get backups, but you just got to realize they're not going to get as much. Now, a catcher, they'll get a little bit more time than an average backup, because your catchers aren't going to play back to back to back to back, especially when it gets in the heat of the summer. They're going to give them time off to rest their legs, that kind of stuff. Now, they may still DH them, but they're not going to, typically, they're not going to play every single. They'll have a little bit of time where they get some breaks. But you get over here to like shortstop. These are the positions that you really want to make sure you get whoever's the starting player. So, which I have Matt McClain, but I think they've got him. So he's behind Ellie, and he'll come in after Ellie. But I think Matt, I can't remember what other positions he is. I think Encarnacion Strand, CES, I think he's going to be really good. But anyway, this is the app. Probable pitchers is a really good one, because when the season starts rolling, you can look at that probable pitchers before you set your lineup for week 1 or week 2, whatever week it is, and see how many of your pitchers, and you got 2 start pitchers. Because some pitchers will pitch on Monday, and then they'll pitch again Friday or Saturday. Or maybe even Sunday. But the more two-start pitchers you can have in your lineup, the more points you're going to get that week, because you had 2 opportunities to accumulate strikeouts and wins, saves. If it's of course a reliever is going to have a lot of opportunities, but strikeouts and wins. I mean, now keep in account that that's also double the opportunity if you have a poor ERA pitcher or WHIP pitcher. That's double the opportunity that you're going to take a ding in those categories if you start a 2-start pitcher that struggles in the ratios. So now let's get back out of here. Find another one that y'all might be interested in. Just my player news is really good. This is all my players in any news, and it tells the time, like 2 days ago, 1 day ago. This Sedan Rafaela, man, I'm so glad. I drafted him for $1, and this is a keeper league for up to 3 years, so I can have him this season and 2 more. And he's $1 this season, then every season you keep him, you have to add 3. So like to keep him for next season, I'd have to add, and it'd be like $4 to keep him, and then the next season would be $7. So I could have him on the 3rd season for $7 if he keeps doing it. He's just slugging away, doing amazing. Judge, I'm really, really worried about. He's probably going to be the one player that's going to kill my chances this season. But these are my player news. And if you don't want to look at just yours, you can click all player and do that. It's pretty cool. Pull up your league rules, and I set our league up pretty much the same as this one, with the exception of saves plus holds. Our scoring system rotisserie, which just means your points rolled throughout the whole season. So at the end of the season, you're going to look at who has the most RBIs, the best batting average, the best ERA, the most stolen bases, and they're going to get the point. They'll win that category. So you can have your roster limit rules. You have to have 23 players on your roster. You can't have on ours. I think it's the same way. You can't have an empty roster spot that's active. Now, if you have somebody that's a bench player that's empty, I don't think that dings you. But if you have an active roster spot of your lineup and you don't fill that spot before the week starts and it locks, then you're going to lose points in all categories for that week of your hitting. Same way for pitching. It just affects your pitching categories. But that could hurt. Tells you how many active you got to have. Like you have to have 5 active outfielders, 2 active utilities, which our league is set up with 2, and 9 pitchers. It doesn't matter how you sort them out, relievers and starters. You just have to have 9 pitchers that are active. This is exactly how our league is. I set it up based off of what I'm used to playing in this league. Certain things I couldn't change, but in some things I could. So the reason this is 28 is because we have 1 IL spot that you can put somebody on they have to be on the injured list in real life to put them there. You can't take a prospect or someone that's just questionable if they're going to be put on the IL or not. Once they go on the IL, then you can put them there. That's it. Transaction rules. It tells us right here. Here's your lineup deadline. This league 5 minutes before game time on the first day of the period of that player. So if it starts at 1 o'clock Monday, that's 5 minutes at 12:55 it locks. It says our trade deadline is August 13th, midnight. Lineup is weekly. Ad drops go into effect immediately, unless it's it'll be the next time lineups lock. But so anyway, all these things are really good tools. So let's see if there's any other ones. You can trade block somebody if you get tired if you don't want to trade with someone because they keep bothering you. But I've never used that. I tease guys saying I'm going to do it, but I've never done it. You got chat where we can chat back and forth. That's just, heck, that was this past year, I guess, setting our keepers. You can chat with your league, or you can chat privately with your teammates or the commissioner. I'm the commissioner of our league here. You see our draft. This is our draft results. Or actually, these are mock drafts that you can go and actually set in on. And so you could do this 5x5. That's an AL only, though. But you could do this one here at 4:30 today, 5x5 AL and NL. You could join that one and actually take part of that draft. And draft it's a fake team. I mean, you're not really playing it out, but it's a mock draft. So you can participate in these mock drafts and see how it goes, and kind of get you a little bit of experience doing a draft. And I may share one of these and see if if y'all start, if everyone want to use this CBS app, if it's available, if that option's available to you guys that aren't on a CBS team. If it is available, then I'll jump on we'll all do a mock draft together. I don't care. And there'll be options for other people from outside the league to join in if they want. But at least some of you guys that have some questions, you can kind of see how it goes. You can go through one and see it. But this is our draft results. You don't really, in an auction, you don't pay attention to round 1 and round 2 because the rounds don't mean anything. It's the dollar amounts all that matters. So this is right here, you're by round. But once we're rolling and the season's going, I typically just stay on my team. And I check my guys' averages. Like, here's your categories: your batting average, your home run, your RBI, runs, stolen base. You can see how much these players are rostered, how much they're started on other leagues. Like Rafaela right now is only rostered in 34% of the leagues. That's going to change. Aranda's only 16%. That he's probably one of them that I would drop first before anyone else. This Scott, man, he's going to be. I hope he gets a call up for opening day because he's going to be amazing. With Newtbar and Edmund out, there's a good chance he could get called up. So I'm hoping he does. He is fast and gets a lot of steals, and he's also got really good bat-to-ball skills. Here's my pitchers. I've got to do something here because I've got to watch these two minor leaguers and make sure both of them are going to get an opening. You know, they're going to get a role to be on the roster out the gate, because if not, I'll have to end up dropping at least one of them and picking up somebody that is rosterable, that is going to get playing time. These are my salaries over here. For the so you can see, I gave for Yamamoto, I gave $30. That's quite a bit, but Logan Gilbert gave $21. I had Bobby Miller on my roster last year at $0 because I picked him up off the free agency and he hadn't been rostered before. So I kept him. So you can see, to keep him, he cost me $3 to keep him. I drafted King for 2, Fetty for 1. Seawald was just like Miller. I picked him up last season off the waiver, or off whatever you want to call it, free agency, for nothing, and kept him for 3. So I got both of those for $3 each, which is a bargain. Jackson Merrill I drafted, and I'm so glad I did because he's going to be a stud. Henry Davis I drafted, all these guys. Judge I kept from last season, and I'm kicking myself in the butt because I think the highest player this season for our team, it was in the 50s, but it only happened on 1 or 2. Judge in our league, I'm thinking probably would have went for around $40 to $43, and I kept him at $59. So almost $60 of my budget right out of the gate before I even got to the draft was gone, which was dumb because then I couldn't go after like any of the Mookie Betts, Bobby Witts, Julio's, none of those guys. But I do have some good players still yet. I think Yannier Diaz is going to be a good catcher. Tristan Casas, obviously, Ozzie Albies, Devers. I mean, I have a good team. but it's not like a sure enough league winner. It's got the potential to be a league winner, though. It's also got the potential to crash. I consider my team a high risk team, but with a lot of upside, but it's got a pretty low floor too in some areas. So you can look over here and pick up one of your other players. Check them out and see how their rosters are. And this is where you go looking at trades. Like you start looking at theirs, and you can go over here and you go to your let's see here, standings. When the season's rolling, you can look at standings and do the breakdown, and you can see, okay, so-and-so's got, he just needs a few runs to catch up and maybe make up one place, and he can move from fourth to third in runs. And you're way off the charts. You got tons of runs. So you pick one of your players that's good at runs, but you need pitching. And he's doing really good in pitching, your person you want to trade with. So then you go offer him one of your better run players for one of his better pitchers. And so that's what I was saying last night. Make it make sense for both of you. But this app, guys, is amazing. I mean, it gives you your updates of your player news automatically right through here. It gives you fantasy news. So like whenever news articles comes out, right here, it don't matter if it's your player or not. These are the news articles. Some videos if you want to watch. That's head to head. And see, they spell it out for you. They tell you if they're talking about head to head or roto, or if it doesn't say head to head, it's going to be roto. Like Marte got suspended, that was a big deal. This is where you can watch an auction draft if you want. And then you got your latest transactions that are just your league. So these are the latest ad drops. And there's mine. That's what I named my team. So that's it. Then you can see right down here if you just want to do a quick look of your roster trends. Most added: Frankie Montas, Paddock, and France. And if you want to see all, just hit the see all, and there you go. You cannot. They've got kind of the market on fantasy baseball apps. But you have all these different categories that you can look at anytime you want. Whoops. So that's this league in a nutshell. If you guys can get access to this, let me know in the chat of our Twitter of our team, of our league. Let me know if y'all have it, and we'll find a mock draft to hop in on tonight. I don't care. But anyway, there you go. Hope that helps you all. Most of all, go out and follow Scott White, Chris Towers, and Frank Stanfield, because you're going to get the most help out of following those guys, and a couple other ones I would follow that are really, really good. It's like Eric Cross, like I said last night in that video. The Welsh, really good. There's several others that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, but those are the other two that I really follow. And you can ask, a lot of times with Eric especially, you ask a question on Twitter, and he's pretty good about answering you. The other guys are too, but I don't know if their schedules are just fuller or if they're busier or what happens, but I know that they not as often, but it seems like the most available or most willing to answer questions on live on Twitter would be Eric. So if you have questions, throw them out, and sometimes he'll answer you, especially if it's a short, direct question that is like player specific. That helps a lot, or position specific. A real broad question about just basics of fantasy, probably not going to get a good response on something like that, because these guys are flooded with tons of questions from all the different people out there in Twitter world. But anyway, thank you guys, and look forward to our draft tomorrow night.